Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly, and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We want to go all in on SNDR. We believe that sleep is here to stay, and all they need is a name change to Sleep AI.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that checked and it's gone.
Hey everybody, welcome to Laughing Stock. How are you today, Dane?
Good, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good. Sleep AI is the solution there, right, on SMBR?
Yeah. You always need to just take out the BR and put AI.
Yeah, just simple solutions, right? Why complicate things? I've never understood it.
Yeah, these guys don't know what they're doing.
You need AI when you sleep. It's a given these days.
I think you should actually plug into your bed. Like they should put an outlet in the back of your head.
They already have smart beds, so it's. They should have called us to figure out how to avoid the bankruptcy.
Yeah, well, I think if you just change the name to AI, say that you're going out in public with a massive offering, everyone's gonna buy.
It's for sure.
And say you're developing space beds for SpaceX.
There you have it. That's the business plan.
Yeah, that's the plan is SpaceX AI space beds.
If you can find a way to also get quantum computing into that,
you're the next $1 trillion company.
Yeah. So no, but we were talking about it like that's one of those companies that we remember we did them on when we did a deep value stream. We thought they were doing pretty good back then. That's probably more than a year ago now. But I saw in my chart, I had actually marked it up, I think, in the beginning of this year as a potential breakout candidate. That was always a stock though that was super thin dollar volume wise. So now with the process I have now, I wouldn't be interested in that just because of that, but obviously it broke down instead of out from the point I had marked it, and now I think they're gonna be bought up or something to avoid the bankruptcy, and they're gonna just pay off as much as they can to the people they owe money, and I think they struggle, but Wednesday, that candle was a bit crazy. It was like up 360% or something.
Yeah, I think that's just traders though, just playing around. I don't, this just becomes like a momentum dream in terms of like a quick, way to make money on the intraday. But yeah, I mean, you see this kind of thing when all of a sudden there's no volume and nobody really owns the shares. There's a chance of it, but then also same thing. I mean, the next day it's down 50% from there. So
It looks ugly here, and
that
I
pretty much
like
does.
when,
I mean, someone will probably buy it. It's a good brand, like name wise.
yeah.
I'm not saying obviously it didn't work, but
You know, when we find these tickers, or we are not doing like deep dives on them, so it's just like a very superficial thing. But I did read a sentence that they are being bought for cheap. So yeah, I think that's what's going on.
yeah, I mean, the last time I look at I'm just looking at the daily chart here, and it looks like on like January 8th, it starts, it's kind of basing a little bit, and it's around like the 100, and then it breaks out perfectly from there. On January 9th, there's an 8% move, and then from there, there's like 5 or 6 days up in a row.
Yeah.
Where if you had bought on January 12th, in like 4 or 5 days, a 40% move. So that was probably the last time you could have traded it, in terms of how we do swing trading.
Yeah.
So,
But let's also, if you can, Dane, I know this is tricky, but if you can forget about stocks for just a little bit.
okay.
You see the name in the title today is like a big cheer for your country because you are killing it in the World Cup at the moment.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone expected us to do this well. It's a little almost
I told you
unreal at
last
this
time,
point.
you have a good coach in Pochettino. He's one of the best coaches. He has had big clubs, in Europe.
Yeah.
He can select. You have a few good players, like players who play for Juventus and also former Barcelona players in Serginho Dest and McKenna. I have been a bit surprised. Like your group is a little bit. People say it's like a easier group, but still you have delivered. Like you have delivered more than you probably would have expected in terms of how you have looked. Because no game in the World Cup is easy,
Right.
and these are still opponents that are. If they go into a low block, which Australia kind of did, I don't know if that was the game plan or they were played low, But
Right.
You looked very aggressive, and in my opinion, Australia had never a chance. They were a bit close in the end there, and I don't even know what the manager there was doing because he benched the goal scorers from the last game into this game, and then when he subbed them on, they looked a bit better, in my opinion. But it's also a little bit natural in how the game develops. But I was never scared that you would give away that win. You look good, and in Europe, like I see some videos, and USA football people or soccer people, they are getting a bit made fun of for their chants and all that stuff, which I think is a bit maybe some are like this, sir, but it's also a bit unfair because other countries have stupid chants and stuff like that as well. My point was when I watched the game, USA games, there's an incredible amount of support in the stadiums that just lifts the team up. So there's no doubt that you have that momentum in the crowd, and the patriotism that the people are gathering behind the team, which is super important in tournaments like this to use the home advantage. So it was impressive to see like the vibe in the stadium, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you covered a lot there, but yeah, I think Australia's idea. I think they thought that by playing super defensive, that they were going to, really shut us out. And I think that's why halfway through they decided, okay, we got to start going on the offensive here because our whole, strong defensive plan did not work.
No.
They thought they were gonna, get some breakaways and score some goals on us, and then we wouldn't know what to do, which did not pan out. And I mean, our country is so divided right now. Like half the people think that the left are geniuses, and the other half think the right are geniuses, and then there's a chunk of us who just think they're all dumb. And it all falls somewhere in the middle there. But something like this is a good unifier for everybody. Everybody's on side USA, obviously, if you're here. So
Yeah.
And the funny thing is too, you're talking about like whether divisions are good or not, and you say a good point there that like everyone's trying in the World Cup. It's the same thing like when I watch like March Madness for college basketball here. Like there's always like a Cinderella team that should get nowhere that like just shows up at the time and like takes out great teams just because you have to remember the worst player in the World Cup would destroy you if you played them. You know what I mean? Like they would kick the ball around you like nothing. You wouldn't be able to get near them. And that's the worst player in the World Cup. So these guys are just everyone's an all-star. It doesn't matter. And sure, I know when you get to the top 1%, that makes such a big difference. But you can't let anybody, have an opportunity because they'll take advantage of it. And they're, I'm not the world's biggest soccer fan. In the US, it just happens to fall behind just because it's not our biggest sport here. I know some people are diehard. We have so many immigrants in our country too that a lot of them are diehard soccer fans because they come from these other countries where it is the premier sport. And the one thing that you notice about, as you watch the sport more and more is the opportunities are really tough to come by. There's a lot of in between. And you really have to capitalize when you get the chance because there's only a few shots that are actually going to even have a chance of going in. So especially on the stage like this where there's so much pressure, you just have to perform. And, it's been exciting to watch. It's nice to see the USA do better. We'll see. We know we're in the knockout round guaranteed. So that's a nice, lock in already. So we're still early in the tournament, but it's
that's you can rest some players now if you read the environment like that's the best thing to do. You have that opportunity, so it's just a very good position to be in. And
and it's
I think you conceded 1 goal so far, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
First game's 4-1.
And Paraguay was winning against Turkey, so that was your last team you played against, right?
Yep.
So no, it's been good. Norway plays in the night here on between Monday and Tuesday against Senegal. So we won against Iraq, but we won comfortable ball. But I think the entire country here, we are not happy with how we looked like. So which is a bit weird to say, especially since it's 28 years since we participated in the World Cup. But this team has created like such huge expectations now by the way they qualified and the players we have. So even with 4-1, we were happy with the result, but not the performance, So
and sometimes the score doesn't always explain quite how things went. You guys just wanted Holland to get a hat trick. That's the only reason you're pissed off.
Yeah. So
now all of a sudden a hat trick in the World Cup is becoming a thing.
Yeah,
there's a few people have done it now.
Yeah, that 1 goal was super easy though. The goalkeeper gave him.
Whatever.
But
take what you can get.
You have seen our fans.
Yeah,
we are everywhere now. So.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see how many people are traveling to the States to come see the games, and I feel like it is almost in a way it's kind of reminds me of the Olympics where everyone just kind of pauses and the cool thing too is every day there's so much to watch. I watched the Scotland game after. And it was pretty good. I mean, Morocco definitely had them. The first half, they had them really well. And then the second half, when Scotland got a little more desperate, they had a few opportunities, but they just couldn't put anything on net.
Yeah. And also Morocco is a very good team. I don't think they have lost a game in 2 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, they looked good. They looked real good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So forget about stocks. The World Cup is on. It's a very good. It has been a good World Cup so far. A few boring games, but overall, it's been like you expected. I think the team seems to do well, and it's been entertaining so far. Like you said, with some big scores already, and the players that you want to see deliver, they have kind of delivered so far.
Sure.
So yeah, gonna be exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot to come.
Yeah. My week, Dane, was I can't remember last time I was so busy and tired and exhausted from my work week than this last one. But the good news for me is that I have now a long holiday, so I'm through the worst. But unfortunately, I have not been able to update myself too much on what's been going on this week. I didn't do anything. I'm still in Dave. Like in the title, you know, that's my only name for this week, and Dave has actually done well. But I did read, and I did notice the sentiment after that Fed meeting, and everyone was panicking a bit. Thought it was a bit what was the word, like careful. It caused some volatility in the indexes, but it went straight up again a few days later. So I think here we are again on a weekend where we just have to wait a bit for the next week to see what will happen.
Yeah, no, like I was saying, on Thursday, the NASDAQ just came flying back, and I kind of I think it was the short bear had talked about this, and he was just going over kind of how he thought the things looked, and what he how he read the whole Fed meeting, and basically he was just saying it seems pretty bullish, to be honest. Like he said, yeah, we're not gonna do a rate cut right now, but you know, basically that going forward, they're going to pay really close attention, and, you know, they can't really make any decisions until this Iran peace treaty, you know, kind of pans out. So, and I think Trump's fed up with it at this point. It sounds like he's kind of like over, you know, people argue back and forth of how close of allies Israel and what our ties are. And I think at this point, Israel has been doing everything they can to kind of keep some of these things going, and I think the U.S. and Trump is just done with it.
Yeah.
I think he realizes probably what a large mistake it was to even, you know, do this in the first place. And I don't really care what you're, you know, I'm not trying to say politically one way or the other, whatever. But here we are, and I think between, you know, the chances of that ending, if you watched I saw some videos on X about the strait, oil was moving again, tankers are flying through, so oil's going to start to really collapse now, and you could see that too if you follow any of the oil stuff. I mean, it was down in the lower 70s last I had seen, and then
you had this going for it, you know, like something like this, and it just broke down. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think, you know, unless something comes up, I honestly think that we're gonna start pushing. Most of the charts I'm following, everything looks bullish again. Like there was a ton of breakouts, there's a ton of stuff that showed really strong returns on Thursday. It's been a little choppy, obviously, but to be honest, I think we're going to start to creep back up. I don't think we're going to have the parabolic move we had since April, you know, April to like June. I think that's over with, but I think we're going to kind of sideways trickle up for a while. Especially if everyone's, you know, if oil starts getting back to everybody, that price starts to come down, and this inflation really is just like a quick, you know, inflationary thing, just the oil's effect on everything. I don't see why anything should slow down. I mean, you know, the semis and the AI stuff, it just continues to rip. All those names, all the tech names are just murdering it right now.
They are very strong, and also like companies like Hot and I saw them like Bitcoin miners, stuff like that. They are still super strong, all of them. Good looks good again.
Yeah, if only Bitcoin looked good.
Yeah.
But
Bitcoin is,
you know,
the
I don't know,
only
maybe
thing.
that's some footing here or something. But yeah, I had a bit of a whip around week. I'm really working. If you guys read the Discord, I'm really working on my situational awareness. I've been going back and through looking at the days where I got smacked, and where the days I did well, and what could I have looked out for, and what would have gave me clues that one day versus another would be a better day. And I'm continuing to refine my screening process. What screens show the best stocks the most consistently, and the biggest leaders. I think a mix of all these things are going to keep helping me improve, because in the down periods, my strategy right now is quite high risk. So I have to make sure that it eliminates that as much as possible. But once again, had very promising results. I did some back testing on things and made some adjustments based on what the market's doing in comparison to, when I should be trading and not. And like I said, the results are really good. So I'm just going to keep going. Yeah. The week I was down like 1%, just over. So not the best or not the worst either. So I'll take it, because in this phase too, I probably should have done some more testing, but honestly, having a rough week last week, it really makes me sit there and just analyze things all day, every day in my head. So it's part of the experience. I've learned a lot, and I feel like I keep getting closer and closer to something.
Yeah. And I can tell you are, because you're doing everything very, what's the English word, like thorough, like properly,
systematically,
yeah, and leaving nothing behind. And this is the way to go. And I was gonna say, like, this is the hard part, and this is what you hear the top traders are saying, like, they want to do less, they want to focus on less. So how can you eliminate as much noise and randomness as you possibly can and still get your position into the winners? That's that's where the magic really happens, and that's very, very difficult. But that's the direction we are trying to get towards, I think, right now. I've also made some adjustments to not my screens, but the way I screen. It's way more efficient now. And just before we jumped on the stream today, I got some ideas to try to implement into my AI system that will also, if it works the way I want, it will help me eliminate more noise. That was one of my biggest things in, if you check the QQQ in this down, in this pullback here, which looks small now compared to what we have currently. In this period, I gave away a little bit of my profit before the stops got hit. And then in the remaining stocks that I was in and the one I took, I was in the wrong field, That was one big mistake. They looked good. They had things going for them, and the sector also was like okay, but it wasn't top. And that's what I want to eliminate. I should have never been in those stocks. I should have been in other fields, and that's the next thing I'm trying to improve now with my system here.
Yeah, and as I continue to work on the screeners, I'll start to figure out what other little variables I need to focus on. The things I'm going back through now are, when I take something in the morning, you only have a few minutes usually to kind of make your decision. At least usually, I am trying other things where I may enter later in the day, and I have to do a lot of backtracking to check that. So I might not always trade first thing in the morning. And when I say first thing, it's usually on the same as Q says, like a 1, 5, or 30-minute candle. Those are kind of my thresholds. If I don't see anything right away on that first one, I just wait a little bit. I'll wait till 5. And then that seems to be kind of my go-to areas around the 5. Sometimes I do wait for the 30. That's pretty rare, but usually just because I think if you already wait a half hour, sometimes you're behind. If everything's already moving, you're already kind of late on the move. So, but other days too, it saves you because of the pullbacks. So it just depends. But my bigger point too is just really focusing on in the morning being able to check those setups, and also if there are any catalyst. You know, I keep returning to the idea that there has to be something that should be moving these. Like, you know, if you're trying to pick between 3 or 4 and you don't pick the one with the catalyst, you're not doing a great job at you know, your screening process. That last little bit needs to be there. So I'm just working on all those little things.
And has been traded live.
You're breaking up a lot for me. I don't know if that's on the stream or just you.
This because I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me now?
Right now I can, yeah.
Yeah. That Marius guy has been on Trader Lion a few times. He has said that he is building a system to identify like each individual stock's personality a little bit, and been very he's struggled to find a complete system that keeps the outliers but eliminate noise, you know, a little bit like we just spoke about. And according to himself, he wants to sell that platform eventually. He has said like to like a subscription. So I guess it's also that element into here. But according to himself, it has caught like some great outliers this year. And he also does like testing very systematically and good. So it would be interesting to see how that system works when and if it will be accessible to everyone. But that is really the trick again, like because you can make changes and twist and try things, you know, as well. And then through eliminating things, you also eliminate big winners or big potential winners.
Yeah, and that's the thing you have to be the most careful about.
Yeah, it's very difficult, but at the same time, I'm so far I've only used like the Kulamagi screens for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 5 days, and they have given me a lot of opportunity, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think those and you know, the other person I've actually really started paying attention to is Pradeep. He, you know, he's great because that guy, he posts constantly on people's comments and is asking questions or answering questions. And there's very few people out there that I think are just that selfishly helpful, or selflessly. I'm just trying to say. You know, Lance, I think Lance is there. Ariel, Mario, like there's a bunch of them. Q does, but Q's also been quiet for so long too. So it's that's really all I'm saying about him. But
in the book, Dane, I got the impression that he has moved. Moved is not the right word because he always did the episodic pivot. But the way I read it was that that's his favorite style.
What's that?
The EPs.
Yeah, well, the EPs are. I like EPs as well because, you know, at first I found it hard because I'm like, you know, I got so into setups and stuff like that I was so hardcore focused on that the EPs, they're, like I said, there's got to be a catalyst and there's other things that go into it, and you don't always play them the same way. But now, I mean, EPs are easy in the way that, like, if there's like a big move in the morning, like let's say something gaps up 10% and there's decent volume and it's on like a very obvious catalyst on a good sectored stock, like what more could you ask for when you're about to buy something? Like that right there checks off every box, like in my book, essentially. So the EPs, even in like a bad environment, like if let's say, you know, like the markets were pulling back, or like let's look at like a year like 2022, I guarantee you, like most days in that year, you shouldn't be trading. But with that being said, you know, certain EPs on certain days, earnings or news wise, just flew, and especially because everyone's looking to try and recover profit. So in those down periods, everyone's desperate to have something positive. So when something does work in those ugly periods, they almost can outperform because everybody piles in.
Yeah. It's and it can work well in a short period of time in a bearish market too.
Right.
Yeah, but I did the screening yesterday because stupid me, I've been so out of touch this week that I thought it was a open day yesterday. I didn't know the holiday.
Oh yeah, here in the States now.
Yeah. So I was preparing myself before the session, and then I figure out half an hour before it opened that nothing is moving here pre-market. So
Yes, that should be a good sign.
yeah. But everything like this was the list that I came up with as candidates for Monday. Then I guess like hot was one of them. I like. It's not too extended here. It is still in a base. The moving averages are catching up to it, and if you can you see here a couple of times here on my sheet, it pulls down to the 9 EMA a few times here, and then I've anchored the weave up to this high point here in 2nd of June, and now they are almost correlating with each other. The anchored weave up and the 9 EMA. So if this on Monday can pull back into that area, I think that can be a great pullback buy if you can get there. And it looks a bit tight, and it's in a good group. Kind of the same with this one. This is a semi-name, SITM. You see the 9 EMA and the 21 EMA are almost together. So once again on Thursday, it did pull back into that area, and it would have offered you like a good entry point, and then it finished the day even above the anchored VWAP from the previous swing high here. So just tracking, overall looks to be in a good base for also a breakout candidate soon, same with the hot. And then I have some breakout candidates like Paul. I've been tracking them for a little bit. They had some good volume. Once again, pulling back into the 21 EMA. Thursday gave a lot of pullback opportunities, Dane. I didn't know if you saw the same, but
yeah, like I said, Thursday was just everything was recovering strong. I have a lot of names that look great to me.
Yeah. And IBRX made my list again. Then I know you have been also following them for a while.
Yep.
I took them up here where it was very strong. And even on the monthly, I just checked before the stream. If you go to the monthly now, this looks like a high tide flag, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And the weekly looks good. It looks good on all the different time frames. I just need like a confirmation breakout on these ones, because I've tried to do some pullback buys and it doesn't find support on any, like I don't see a system here. So I would prefer if this just breaks properly out, something similar to what it did back here, just updates after updates on heavy volume. You can see the volume has just drifted off in the sideways move here. But the overall trend is downwards. So we have to wait and see. But if this can break out properly, I think it can go pretty heavy. Is this something on your list as well with your system?
I have to look through. I was just looking through some of my screeners and I don't see it, but let me look at just one more real quick. Yeah, it is on one of my screeners. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those names that if it goes, it could really rip.
Yeah,
and having two up days here at the end there.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, it finished strong. It almost finished above the 50 also here, you know.
Right.
So then, yeah, you can, I guess you can say that you have like a floor here, but like you saw on some of the other names also can perfectly well break down as well. But this one is interesting on all time frames, I think.
Yeah, I'm thinking Monday looks like it's going to be a strong day. The only thing is if there's something that occurs in between now and then. But other than that,
But a few
I
biotech
think
stocks are holding up pretty good, I think. I've seen that. SLS, another one.
yeah, Celeste has always been on the list.
Yeah. These are all high ADR stocks, you know, but SLS, same. This is more like a pullback candidate for me. I have a BTDR, BW. I added on the list. I thought it looked good. Also a little bit on the weekly.
Yeah, it's another one that looks like it's actually starting to creep up in volume. You know, I like to see that you get that few days of slowly rising volume. You know, it just kind of shows you. And I mean, we'll see. I don't like it. That was super. I don't like that it was weaker on Friday. That's one thing I'll say.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or Thursday. I keep saying Friday, guys,
Yeah,
but
Thursday,
just know I mean Thursday.
the last trading day.
It's throwing me off.
And the chart is like, it is a bit up and down, you know, hard to predict. But if you use the 50-day EMA that I have on, it seems to bounce up when it hits that one, which is like now it obviously broke below it. But let's see if it can continue from here. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I saw BE broke out.
Yeah, I saw BE was having a strong break. That was a good one, right?
Yeah.
That's what I want in IBRX. Like, there's no questions about it.
Yeah, just super clean.
Why do you keep bringing this up, Dana? You know my entry down here at 29 bucks here.
There's no way you would have held that all the way through.
Every time I pull this chart up, I see the percentage from my entry, and it's like 6,000% now.
Yeah, that would have been a good one to hold.
I sold it after 3 days.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's you know, when you're swing trading, that's what you do. I mean, you don't want to. You know, it's so easy to say, oh, positionally, I would have loved to have done something on one of these stocks, but if you're not doing like duration, then you know, I try not to look at anything outside of exactly what I'm doing. Like I now have my system down to a pretty distinct style, and it works for me. The risk is inherent. That's the only thing that I worry about. But I'm doing what I can to minimize that. And if it works, I'll be fine. And if not, I have all these other ideas that are still in the same realm that just don't have that level of risk. So,
but what a strong stock since then, though.
Yeah, it just
Amazing.
Continues to just fire.
Yeah. Value is in a comment there, and he's saying, "What's up? Was just about to go to sleep. We'll have to catch the whole stream tomorrow. Hope your week has gone well." Yeah, thank you, Value, and good night then, I guess.
Yeah. It's always crazy. I'm like over here just yawning. I'm waking up.
Yeah, and I'm in the middle of the day. So now, good to hear from you, Value. I hope your week has been well as well. But I don't know if you watched the beginning here, but I said like this week has been super busy for me, so I haven't done anything with stocks really.
Yeah, mine's been a lot of back work. You know, spending hours every day just going through things and looking back, and you know, but it's you know, I say that like it's like a problem. I enjoy doing it. It just is what it is. So
yeah.
What do you think about FCEL right here?
Which ticker?
FCEL.
Oh yeah. Right here, I think it's I don't for a breakout. You mean?
Just the strength that it's had the past few days.
It's been incredible. I was on it. If you look at my chart, I had like drawn this huge base because in this time period, there was a lot of stocks that gave you a big base like this one. NVTS was another one. Look at this, and NBIS was another one. There
Mhm.
were so many that gave you like a big sideways move and broke out in the same period, like within 2-3 weeks of each other. Fuel Cell was one of them.
Mhm.
And you have had a few opportunities when it touched like the 9 EMA on the way up here. But right now, I think it looks very strong. But right now, where it is right now, I don't see where I could take it.
Even if it, even based on that line right there, even if it breaks out again and goes
Oh
higher
yeah,
on
no,
Monday.
I guess you can like take it as a breakout here, but then for me, it's starting to be a bit extended.
Yeah. Okay. I get you. I get you.
Yeah, but I let's say it goes a bit more sideways then and starts to play around with these EMAs here. A pullback buy is very possible here. So it's definite. This is on my other list. It's not on my daily watch list, you know, but it's on my other
Yeah.
list. Yeah. But crazy strong stock. I mean stock in the last days and very high ADR. It meets all the criteria for having a go at it, you know, if you find a good entry. And look at the volume profile since it kind of broke out here.
I know that's what I'm watching is like that.
Yeah.
You see that volume starting to creep right back up.
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it rode the 10-day like perfectly.
Yeah.
So
But I have to say though, Dane, this is something I have also noticed. I know I'm not a genius for noticing this, but a lot of the stocks, look at IBRX again, a lot of the stocks in these violent up moves, if you just buy in any given day and use the low of the day as a stop, it never violates it, you know, on the way up.
well, yeah, that's the idea. You
Yeah.
you want to catch these huge up swings by doing that. And
So
and
let's
and and you
say,
know, Pradeep.
yeah,
Oh, I was gonna say I like Pradeep's idea. He because someone was asking him, and he sells when he says he sells after 3 to 5 days. His is simple. Unlike Q, who holds it, you know, till like a 10 or whatever. He's like, I literally sell on the third, the fourth, and the fifth day, and by the fifth day I'm out. Like
yeah,
he's like, I don't overthink it. He's like, sometimes it works better than others, but he's like, that is just the simplicity of the style. And you know, I think there's something very very smart about that idea.
I have thought about the same in terms of how many times I've had, for example, 10% gain on something that I have given back.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
I,
it's
you know, I,
been quite often.
I see the benefit of what Q does in terms of really good markets, but when it's not a really good market, you get chopped up, and I think that's, you know, when he talked about him getting killed in 2022. Now, granted, as long as, you know, and obviously he learned from his mistake, and he you know, won't trade when certain environments are occurring, but um depending on what your style is, that Pradeep style of just capturing that initial big momentum move and not waiting for 30 different, you know, uptrends to occur. Because once again, the one thing I always like keep telling myself too is you have to remember, like, if you sell and you get your capital back, that's ready for the next move, and now you have more capital to put into that next move, and that can compound really quickly. So it's great to get 100% move over like the course of, like, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, but if you can get a few 10% moves in a shorter time period, that adds up just as fast, if not faster. So I think
think,
Minervini always says that too.
sorry?
I was just saying, Minervini always says that. Like, he's like, I don't
Yeah,
need a bunch of, you know, 100% moves. He's like, I'll get a couple, you know, 10, 15, 20% moves, and that all adds up quick.
yeah, that's a big point for him and a valid one for sure. It's just like I think maybe you can switch to something like that when you have already grown your account a little bit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there are always things to adapt to. I think in terms of when you reach a certain size and all that stuff.
Right.
But on fuel cell, maybe that's like a entry strategy. Then just use the low day. I think already if you count this like a start of a big move, this would already been not working because this bar on Thursday took out the previous low of the day. But you can try it again if you maybe this is the start of the move. Then up again. That's one way, I guess, to enter it. But I also think historically this can also show like big moves like that in a short period of time.
Right.
No, it's on my other list, like I mentioned. Then I have iron. A lot of these are a bit similar. Flex, I saw Flex was a bit extended when I checked on the weekly for me. But it's building like a tight base. CLSK, very similar to HOT. Look, almost identical charts,
Yeah.
Mara, the same. AAON.
What is CLSK? What kind of company is that? Like even sector wise.
CleanSpark, I have it labeled in capital markets. That's from Finvis, and TradingView
Okay.
is just putting like data processing service.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because I've seen the name, but I've never even looked at what they do.
Yeah. I have AAON, and then I want to get into Reddit. I think there's a thesis here. I'm waiting for it to. I've tried it a few times, been stopped out. I've actually nailed the entry, but I stopped out the day later. It is a laggard at this point. It has not followed the move, but it is hovering around like the. I think I used the 150 EMA now and not the 200 EMA, but it is playing around up and down in that area, and maybe you can call it like building a base here. Sorry?
Sorry, I just coughed. You're good.
Oh, okay. Because I read a little bit about, all the LLMs are saying that Reddit is their number one data source for their training. That is pretty huge. And I don't think Reddit has monetized that properly yet. And the CEO is very aware, and that's something that he's going to try to focus on moving forward.
I wonder how he could monetize that, though.
Yeah, I'm sure he said it in the last call. I have not read through it properly. I just been, doing some surface stuff with this, but it's just one I want to keep on the list, because if something happens, I will try to jump in.
Right.
But I'm sure he has like revealed or hinted to some ways to doing it. There's definitely ideas to how to do it, though. And then the last one is AAOI, which is a bit. I don't know how much I like this. It's very high ADR. I think this can also break down from here easily, but yeah, it's still on the list.
I was gonna say it's performed so well. I'm usually pretty bullish if I see AAOI moving. That's not a stock I really get concerned with. Regardless of the chart, like yes, it can break down at times.
Yeah.
But it is slightly extended right now, but
has followed the 50 here pretty clean.
That's what I'm saying. That's a strong stock, man.
Yeah. Well, and it is at the 50 now. I'm not gonna take it here because it can also fall pretty quick, this one. But if it can either break out above this line here or establish itself over the 9 and the 21 and then pull back into them and come back again, that's where I want to try it again, I think. So yeah, that's my list for Monday.
No, I mean, a lot of the similar names, just, if I look at, let me go to, I liked, I thought MEI had a really strong Thursday.
Which one?
MEI, Methode Electronics. That's been in a really strong move, and it's kind of digesting all that volume it had on, what is this, May 13th.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
So
That's a big one.
it's nice to see that push that high. Obviously FCEL, Wolf had a great day.
Yeah,
So
Wolf,
I
yeah.
think that can push higher.
Yeah.
Um,
By the way, I forgot to mention Dane earlier. I think it was this week. If it was Monday or something, it was a great day for clean breakouts.
on Monday.
Yeah, one of the days. I don't remember. It could have been also the past week, like the last week. But there was one day now. I saw a lot of the semi names. They were just clean breaking out.
Yeah, if I look, Monday would have been the day, I think, because Monday opened up so much, like
Yeah.
Monday jumped.
Yeah, exactly. That day, I think it was, because you texted me that it was actually a bit tricky to get into things.
Yeah, things were moving quick, and it just is what it is. VELO, I thought VELO looked really good. I actually traded that on Thursday, and that's kind of what recovered my week for me. Was the move that had.
VLO?
VELO.
Oh, VELO. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Another one that keeps popping up on my list that hadn't been on there is WYFI. It's white fiber. It's obviously had a huge run up now, so it's not. But every time I don't look at the stock, the next day it just flew in the past week. So it's WYFI.
W.
Y.
Y. F. I. Some of these tickers, Dane, they kill me.
But just super strong this last week.
Yeah. What kind of move is that from the low here? It's like already 70% almost.
Yeah.
And
So
great
it was
volume
just one
coming
of
in.
those names. I saw it for the first time probably on like June 11th, and I was just like, I hadn't really looked into it, and I know it's a newer stock, so that's why I kind of hesitated to make any moves on it. But then from there, it's just ripped, and it's like, oh, I should get that on my list.
But look at this. Another example where the low of day in the up move is holding every day.
Yep. I have OUST, OUST.
Yeah.
Which I know we've talked about that. That to me looks pretty bullish. It looks like if it can finally break, it's just kind of been like hovering in that same spot. But
Monday is the day.
it could be. I mean, we'll see. If the market's open strong, I'm going in probably early and heavy. So we'll see.
This is another one who kind of broke the downtrend here that I have drawn on, that fits that criteria, and it gives you like a few entries in the up moves here, which now could very well be the next one.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's just big names that are moving. Like SNDK is still moving. Intel's pushing. I have ACMR.
Dell, I think.
I don't know. I didn't have Dell on my list, but yeah, probably.
It has consolidated a
Micron.
bit since the crazy move, you know.
Yeah.
MU.
Yeah, that's what I just was saying was MU. Like, just some of those big tech names are just dragging everything up, in my opinion. So,
How crazy is it? Remember, I was in SNDK when it hit 1,000.
yeah, and that's the thing though, is like some of these stocks, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the numbers are. If it's strong, it's strong. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in terms of, you know, where any kind of metric matters.
SNDK must be like, if you want to look at the chart and study like a clean winner, this is it.
Yeah.
This is so tight and clean.
And I mean, the craziest thing is the first day it broke out was September 4th. Since then, it's up 3,000, almost 3,500%. So
yeah, I'm a bit. I have seen some of the IPOs now, Dane, because I see a lot of traders. They treat them. They treat them in the same way, but they move a little bit different. And so far, I've only marked like CBRS and SpaceX, but it's going to be interesting to track them for me. I think the idea is that they go like this and they drop a bit, and then they are setting up, and then they move. So I'm going to wait for something like that on a few of these to see if I can get a chance. SpaceX probably a bit different because there's so few shares outstanding, right?
for now.
Yeah, for now.
Just wait until they're able to dump. I think there's I think a lot of people are. I hope that there's enough people paying attention to the fact that at a certain point those guys can dump the shares, and all of a sudden there's going to be, you know, 10 times the amount of shares on the market real quick.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's going to be dragging downwards quickly.
Yeah. You know, ARM is another stock, Dane, that we forgot to mention.
Yeah. ARM's done great.
Just climbing.
And I mean, look at ARM's volume on Thursday. Holy shit.
Yeah. Nothing bearish about it. Which stock was it that I saw? Was one on the lists? Hold on. I was going to ask you about it. Yeah, Flex. If you pull up Flex, Dane.
Yeah, that's incredible.
If you look at the Thursday volume, I didn't read what that was about. But if you match that volume with the shape of the candle, which kind of, it did pull back, you know, what are your interpretation in that?
I mean, it looks like that buying was all at the very end of the day. If you zoom in intraday,
yeah,
it was all in the last, like,
true. But then
you know,
straight into the it dumped again. Someone bought the wrong stock or what?
Yeah, I don't know. Either that or just when it skyrocketed, there was a bunch of people who were like, take that pressure off.
Yeah,
but
you know, there are. Yeah, the ants show up here above, I mean, before the last earnings in my sheet, which just means it indicates just like a big institutional owner or multiple. Maybe they have been dropping share. Like, I looked at it and my initial idea was that I didn't like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You are right. It came at the very end of the day.
The only thing too is also, I'm just looking at news. It's going to join the S&P 500 on June 22nd, which is Monday. So it could be a lot of people were finally able to trade.
Oh yeah.
Because I know certain institutions can't touch it until it's going to be on. So I don't know if there's a grace period for them. So for instance, like, you know, within the last half hour before a stock is going to move on to the index, are they able to start trading it? So it could be that there's just a ton of institutional interest now because they can trade on the S&P 500.
Yeah.
So
I'm
there's
just
all kinds of
checking
weird
last time.
things that you learn about in the markets with like stuff like that.
Yeah. Last time it had similar volume. The day after it kind of came down a little bit, but not that that's connected in any way. It's just interesting observation as well.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Because
interesting.
with that kind of volume, even if it came in the end here, it should have, like, you expect it to break up properly. But if you look at the 5-minute chart, that next last 5-minute candle bar is pretty crazy.
Well, and I also wonder too, because I know it said part of the business was being acquired by Chase. Is that just the shares moving? Like, do they just like purchase a
Oh,
certain
yeah.
allotment so they have the liquidity, and then the other company's just buying it at the same price, and that's why you didn't see an actual move in the price? Because when
Yeah,
there's that many shares that exchange hands, you would think there'd be, and don't get me wrong, it was slightly volatile during that time period, but not as much as you would think. Um,
yeah,
so
could be something like that.
I think it's more related to something along those lines than it is anything special. But who knows? I mean, it's good to point out just on Monday, if I see Flex like flying in the morning, I'll know that there's something going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's all I got for now. I do got to get going a little bit early today just because I got stuff to do today. But
Yeah, all good. Like I said, I didn't do anything, but this is my updated list now, and I'm very keen to be able to sit down a little bit more these coming days, and also to try to improve my process in terms of adding things to my AI helper and all that stuff. I think it can benefit me if it works the way I want it to work.
yeah, and I know I haven't really been posting my watch list per se, just because I've been playing around with all these different screeners. But if I do start to narrow it down, I will start posting that again for people, if anyone cares.
Yeah.
And if not, then I don't care either.
But it's important
But
for anyone who reads that then to understand also the styles, you know. It's not just a
right,
classic it's not a classic Kulamagi breakout or anything like that, you know. There are more to it.
right.
But yeah, QQQQ looks good, Nasdaq looks good. I think IWM, everything is looking pretty good. I told you, it's like it can very well be that we are continuing to moving sideways. But right now, I don't see so much that makes me think this is super bearish, you know.
Right. No, I would agree.
I didn't look at, I didn't go through like these big caps. Tesla is a bit disappointing. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's competing with itself
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah,
SpaceX
true.
and whatnot. You know, I think
Yeah,
the Elon effect is, it's like everyone, you know, you want to buy an Elon company. Well, now there's options. So
yeah,
it's not so easy. But I do think as SpaceX starts to stabilize where it's at, and probably after the massive pump and dump, there will be a dump. Just
there will
my
be a
mark my word,
massive dump
there will
there.
be a massive dump at some point, guys.
Yeah.
Just if you're trading that, know that. But
A lot of when I look through it now, these giga cap companies, a lot of them has turned actually from looking somewhat promising to that I don't like a lot of these anymore. But Nvidia still probably looks interesting. But a lot of these have lost a little bit of
full steam.
steam. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, but
I think still, if the market goes up, it's still the same groups like the semis, everything tied to that. You know, batteries, maybe uranium will come, or copper. You know, the miners, the Bitcoin miner, crypto miners. You have the aerospace and defense have taken a big hit. They need to come back again. The PL and all those names are pretty beaten down now. So that has lost also some steam, but it's the semis, it's like software, you know, electronic components and all that stuff. And like I told you also, some of the biotechs I kind of like here. So and that's nothing new. Those are the groups that has been hot since the move started. So yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully Mondays continues the advance onwards, and we can have a strong week. I would love to be positive.
Yeah,
If they're switching
same.
to this new strategy, that would be comforting.
I hope you will succeed with it very fast. I have thought like I have failed to take advantage of how good of a market we have been, because I've been involved in it, you know, and I gave back a lot of the gains that I had. I was very happy at some point. The lesson is learned, I hope. But right now I'm still positive for the year, but not by a lot, which is disappointing in terms of how involved I have been in the move. But still, that has just made me realize that this is probably going to take a little bit longer before I nail it down. I'm still learning a lot, improving. And that's why I have come to the conclusion to the next step for me must be to eliminate more noise and randomness in my trading.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty good on that part. My what I'm focused on now is I definitely have found strategies that work extremely well in the bullish markets. You know, easily could even in my worst setups or in my worst tracking of things would be like 4x. But then in the down periods, you know, where I see some of those strategies to go down 50%, you know, what can I do to eliminate that kind of drawback? And, you know, I think it's kind of a balance, like in these cyclical markets, you know, as stuff goes up, what do you do? And when it pulls back, how do you defend from that? And it's just like this balance of finding the right, you know, flow of that, where when all things are said and done, it just continues to be profitable. I think that's where I'm at. So I'm a little more excited after last week where I got stung so bad. And I do think I came across a lot of important things. I still have to do one major check on some things because it makes a huge difference on one of the metrics I measure. So I got to check that. But other than that, everything I've been looking at kind of is confirming some of the things I'm starting to notice in terms of situational awareness. So hopefully when we have these drawdown periods, instead of being down, you know, 50%, it's down, you know, let me see some of these things I'm tracking. It looks like you'd be down maybe not even like 10%, which is much more reasonable.
Yeah.
So,
which also gives you a much better starting point for the next run up, you know.
yeah, and you know, the more I collect the data, the more the trends start to become apparent that, you know, this looked really good after like a month, and then after like 3 or 4 months, not so hot. And this one that didn't look so good continues to kind of trudge along, even though it doesn't perform super well in the best markets. It just consistently performs, which I think is just as important. So that's what I'm tracking. I have a pretty elaborate tracker page now, which I wish I could show, but I'm not going to because it just gives away too much. So
also, you know,
but other than that, I mean, I'm happy to answer questions and things.
Yeah. You know, it's so important here to, when you have the gains, to maintain it so the 20 or whatever position size you're putting in increases in terms of money value, you know. That way you can grow your account much more quick, instead of being flat or giving it back, and you know, your 20% position size is still the same in money value. So that's also something to like protect the gains for everything, you know. That must be the main focus, which is my biggest lesson so far for the year. Finally here, Dane, I need to, we completely forgot to give a shout out to New Zealand, which is values country, you know?
You talking for the World Cup or?
Yeah, the World Cup.
Yeah.
They
Did
They
they
are
lose their first
first.
game or they draw?
They had a draw against Iran, but they
Okay.
are first in their group because everyone else in the group also had a draw. So all the
Yeah.
all the teams have a 1 point there. So New Zealand, come on, they're gonna play Egypt next one.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, yeah, go New Zealand. Good luck, guys.
All right,
We'll see how far our 3 countries can make it. We'll take it.
it will be awesome. Imagine if we meet, then it's gonna be a
One of these
different
days.
tone in here.
One of these days we will. All of us will finally meet
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. All right. We will
Bye, everybody.
see you next week, and then, and good luck to everyone in coming week. Hope things will break out properly here.
Yeah, let's have a good week.
Yeah. All right. Bye bye.